What was going on with that today? What was going on with Clement and Hagi at the end of the game as they're on the park there and the old Steadicam operator is on for Sky. The Steadicam guy who worked in Blue Velvet, David Lynch's Blue Velvet, he was the guy who worked the Steadicam for Unfinished Sympathy. Sharon Nelson walking down Massive Attack, walking down that, is it West Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles, and the Steadicam. The guy's walking backwards in front of her. It's an overhead shot, and then it comes down onto the. That's more interesting, perhaps, than anything that happened in the game today at McDermott. Also, quite interesting. I suppose you've got the fans in both ends, the away fans, and both. There's two away ends at McDermott, and they're talking about selling the East stand to away supporters as well. We've had that before, 3 stands up at McDermott, haven't we? But the manager and Hagi are going back and forth the day, and the Steadicam guys out there, so they're covering their mouths that way, like the South American footballers, like the Neymar and Messi and all that when they were at Barcelona, and you think after they beat Real Madrid they're giving it all that because they don't want they don't want MD to be able to lip read the insults they're throwing at centralist Madrid-based kind of government in Spain, saying that was a blow for Catalonia we struck there, wasn't it? Yes, ha ha ha, centralists, ha ha ha, Franco fans. We did, but they're actually saying, do you know anywhere I can get some decent beef round about here? By the way, there's actually this nice Brazilian place. I can't be going to Brazilian place playing for Argentina and that. Well, I'm Uruguayan, says Suarez. No, I don't mind going in there and to get some decent beef in this city because they're so proud of the restaurants and that they've got here. We don't want to tell them that Catalonian food's absolutely crap. A good lawyer, by the way. I've viewed a lassie in a hotel again. Well, she came to see me. Jesus Christ, you're worse than Greg Wallace. That kind of stuff, but that's what they're actually talking about. But it was Clement and Hagi were giving it the hands over the mouth as if they were saying something real. I could only think it was the big man Clement just giving it wasn't sexy enough. That wasn't sexy enough. I wanted sexy football. And he said, well, at least I've got hair. At least I've got actually hair. You look like you've got a chip pan in it as well, mate. You could fry chips in that hair of yours. You're just jealous. I'm wanting the win bonus. Don't try to distract me. I want the win bonus. We agreed this. I wasn't going to take the wage rise, but I was going to get because I got a number the day. I got an assist. It's an own goal. It's an own goal, Yanis. You're not getting any money for that, but you better get me that money or else I'm off skiing. I'm the only reason we've won this game a day. But the thing is, we know Yanis Hagi's real thing is he hates St Johnstone. That's what he hates, St Johnstone. He gets his first appearance for the first team, last month against St Johnstone. Like it was a month before that Sunday night league game, and he comes on the park and he's knocking the ball about great. Although he's been away for first team football for ages, or well over a year, he's doing absolutely brilliant, despite having a wee fallout with the club and trying to negotiate extra wage. But as soon as he gets involved in the game, the first thing he does goes and nails a St Johnstone defender. And you and I, studged. It was a leg breaker. It was a terrible tackle. Sickening, I would say, from my position in the main stand. And you're thinking, it's just because he's rusty, it's just because he's slow. It's not. He scored a winner during 2020-21 season, 55 season. He scored a winner against St Johnstone. We beat them 3-0 at McDermott. He scored up there. The last goal, 2-0 at half time. Game was done, but no, Yanis wants another goal. He scores the only goal against him at Ibrox in the second visit of St Johnstone to Ibrox that season, really crucial. And he said, yes, get it, Rooney's, He was in the dressing room talking, folk, Yanis, it's Celtic. Celtic are the ones we want to hate. No, I want to get in about these bastards. As soon as I see that strip of theirs, I just went, you're like, what is the problem here? What is the problem? Why is Yanis Hagi? He gets the assist today. Hasn't he played football for the best part of 3 decades? First team football. He started again for the first team since, is that a year and a half or something like that? Today, and if he doesn't put that ball to the back post the way he did, if he doesn't control that and dish it right up to the back post, that's not going in. That is not going in. We're not getting a goal today. We're not winning this game, and the misery away from home and domestically continues. It's compounded into actual miseries. But today wasn't curing anything. If you hate the manager, if you hate Philip Clement, if you think it's just not working, that's not going to convince you. But we really did get ourselves over a wee hump today psychologically by finally getting another goal and another win on the road in bonnie Scotland. But Yanis Hagi, it's the badge. It's the St Johnstone, but look at the St Johnstone badge. I know they've got the big lamb, Jesus and all that, and all right, about Scottish football, it's just religion everywhere. It's really the Kilmarnock, the thumbs up, the 2 fingers up, and the thumb thing with the 2 fingers down. In the Kilmarnock badge, and there's the squirrels everywhere in that one as well. It's for Father, Son, Holy Ghost. They talk about Rangers and Celtic being, sectarian and religious obsessed. It's everywhere you go in Scottish football. But he's looking at that St Johnstone badge. It's got a double-headed eagle. The lamb is in the middle of a double-headed eagle. They've been wearing that. That's their badge. The double-headed eagle is the St Johnstone crest. The double-headed eagle of Byzantium. Constantinople. Today, it's Istanbul, where Yanis Hagi was born. He absolutely hates them. He hates them for taking that. He defended Constantinople. He defended Istanbul. He defended it against the Ottoman Turks when they were invading. He's sitting his girlfriend Elisabetta. She's all like, "Don't go out to fight them, Yanis. Don't go out to fight them." He's, I've got to for my people and that thing. And he's got the big red kind of blood-coloured armour on, and he goes out there with his big pike. He's got a big pike. He doesn't just want to fight with the swords and that. He's actually impaling them, and he's getting all. The odds were against him. They've been marching right the way through Asia and into the outskirts of Eastern Europe. The Turks, but Yanis goes out there and he fights me. Elisabeta's all worried. She's thinking, "Oh my God, he's going to die. I'm going to lose the love of my life." But he's slaughtering them all one after the other, really letting them slide down the big pikes and that kind of thing. And then he gets back. But when he gets back, and he's taking the whole vow to defend Christianity for the Anthony Hopkins looking kind of priest guy, Orthodox priest fella. And he gets back and he finds out Elisabeta's dead. Because some bampot sent, I think it was on an arrow, one of the things, fired a message, through the window of the castle that they're staying in, the big house they're staying in, and she reads it and it's just made up, it's just fake news, and I think it's fair agent saying, he wants more money and he needs to get a move. Maybe it's Marcella Cescu or something, so he needs to get a regular start at first team, but she's like, "Oh no, that's terrible, it's terrible," and she throws herself out the window of the big house they're staying in into the burn below, and she dies, and so he gets back in. I've won, I did this for God, I did this for the Christian God, says Yanis. He gets in there, and there's the priest standing with the body of Elisabetta, the love of his life, and he's like, what the fuck, this is what's going on here. I just went out there and did the business for God, and this is how God repays me. This is how you're Christian God. And the priest said, whoa, what's your part of there, mate? She's a suicide. She can't get buried. She's not going to heaven or anything like that. Suicide is against God's law. He's like, I renounce God. He's like, what? What's the line? Like, I renounce God. And he runs up to the big crucifix thing, the big cross behind the altar, and he just takes his sword and he stabs it right into the big concrete cross, and blood starts coming out, and he gets a big cup, a big golden cup, and he just fills it up with the blood, and he goes, "The blood is the life," and he drinks it, and then blood comes out everything. It's like, no, and that's, I think Yanis Hagi did that today, because when he launches that ball over to the back post, if you're a press photographer and you're on the goal line at the back post, you're right down below, there'll temporarily be a moment. You could hopefully somebody has caught this, not be the front page of the Evening Times or the Herald or something tomorrow. The ball that Yanis Hagi plays across to the back post to smite the double-headed eagle, blaspheming, insulting sainties, not in any way saintly. That ball will block out the word Jesus at one point, because it's on the fascia. It's on the fascia of the East Stand at McDermott Park. Jesus saves. I don't know what it is with the woke messaging in Scottish football. Same at Motherwell, where they're telling you not to smoke yourself to death across the fascia there. Stand opposite the main stand. I don't know what it's all about. It's Scottish football, absolutely woke nonsense. But Jesus saves. No, Jesus, Christianity's not anyway woke, is it not? And the ball must have blocked it at one point. Sacrilege, blasphemy. Have some blasphemy back there, back at you, sainties, for everything you've done to the double-headed eagle. But you've got to make your own entertainment. It's one of the games where you really have got to make your own entertainment. It wasn't Jesus saving us today. It was Yanis Hagi and his hatred, absolute loathing for St Johnstone. Probably the only thing that's keeping him in Scotland. He'll end up going to Dundee and then Dundee United in the latter part of his career, just so he can get a goal at the Perth Bampots. How you doing, folks? This is your Fatek. Not immediately, because I'll be honest with you, you're all watching Liverpool against Man City anyway, and I needed to hang on to see how Aberdeen got on against Hearts at Tynecastle before I really knew the context. It's cheating, I know, but I really had to hang on to know that Hearts had taken 2 points off Aberdeen before I could properly contextualise this. Post, Rangers have scored a third away goal domestically and got their second away win domestically of the season. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Check out Gersnet tonight. It's 9:30, the flagship show, live on YouTube, and it's going to be Craig hosting Arran, so that'll be good. We'll have a great chat about today's game, and I would imagine probably still talking a wee bit about the fun we had in the Côte d'Azur on Thursday night.
I'm sponsored by them, and I'm also sponsored by Analog Calendars. You know, calendars. It's the 1st of December today, folks. You get your calendars. I know the kids out there, you got your Xbox calendars, your phone calendars, your tablet calendars, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how that works, your cyber calendars. I just like a good analog calendar with lots of firemen on. I get one every year, just the firemen, because it's charity. I like to give to charity. Shows your helmet. Check out the size of my hose. That's the kind of calendar I like to get every year. But also maybe one for the house as well. It's supposed just to want to have in this wee kind of converted outhouse that I do these pods in. And one in the house. And the one thing with calendar, you know, it's like you get a page below that's got the wee squares for every day of the month. And then above it, there's a nice picture. There's a theme. You know, you can get borough collection calendar with lots of pictures of the pictures that are in the borough. You know, the impressionists and stuff like that. It's all really nice. And the one, my missus, she likes dogs. She's a kind of dog pet, but I refuse to get. She's the same, you know, because we're out the house a lot of time and you go on holidays and stuff like that. You don't want to be tied down by a dog. It's also if I actually got a dog, you know, I would be. I'm barely hanging on as it is, but I would be out the door. I would be just she'd forget I even existed. Really, the dog would be. It'd be getting my food for a start. So every now and then to kind of try and keep her sweet, I will get her, you know, kind of stuff, books about, you know, various types of dogs and things like that, and just a calendar. So I've got a dog themed calendar. I said, is that insulting to get your wife a dog themed calendar? It sounds bad when you say it like that, but so it's one type of it's like Dutch dogs in one kind, and different types of dogs you get. German dogs, obviously, that was a really good one. Your Alsatians and stuff like that. Are they French? I don't know. I'm not a dog person really, but I would get all these different and I just realised the day as we're hanging on, we're 1-0 up in the onslaught. You know, I thought, that's we got the goal, we took the leads. I thought that's it. There's almost half an hour to go here. That's the dam has burst. It's just going to be 5 or 6 nothing here, and it never really happened. Did it? It never really happened. And I'm thinking, I need all the luck. I was starting to get a wee bit nervous as it got towards the end of the game, thinking they're going to equalise. It's going to be another disaster for Rangers. I thought, bloody calendar. I've not changed the calendar because that's the one thing. That's the one drawback with analog calendars. You can have all the sexy firemen in the world. Have you seen the Jersnet? I mean, I know myself doing the Jersnet charity calendars. We're going to need considerably smaller loincloths for that one. I'm usually front and centre of them. But the one thing, they're good fun, but it's bad luck. It's superstition central, your calendar. You've got to make sure you change your calendar. If you, and it's happened before, Rangers have slipped up on the 1st of the month when I haven't changed the calendar to that month. You know, I'm sitting, and it was sitting for most of that second half, sitting for most of that game on the 30th of November. It was sitting it's still, the November page was up, and it's in the kitchen, the one I got for the house with the different dogs on it. So, lovely illustrations of different dogs on each, from different countries for each month of the year. So, I got up and I bolted, and I can still hear the telly's on in the living room, so I've still got the telly up full volume. So I bolts through the kitchen. Oh, Jesus Christ, let me change his calendar, you know. And I thought, what was it? Was it Dutch Dogs last month? I can't remember, but I'm just like quickly flip the page up and I pin it up. There's always a bit of fruitery involved getting it pinned up, and it opens up onto Scandinavian. No, it was Nordic. I was thinking it was Nordic Dogs, and I'm like, right, that's fine. And I thought, oh no, wait a minute, Simo Valakari, you know, the Finnish manager. The Finnish manager of St Johnstone, is this a badging I'm doing here? Am I making the wrong move in terms of karma, in terms of luck, in terms of superstition? And it's got, like, I think it's about 12 different dogs or something like that. I'll post it up in the Twitter or something. I'll post you a picture of it somewhere. But it's got all these different illustrations, all these different dogs. And I'm thinking, if there's a Finnish dog, and I'm thinking Nordic. But is Nordic is that different? You know how there's that thing, there's a difference between Scandinavian and Nordic if you're taking it really literally. I think Scandi is just Sweden, Norway and Denmark. And maybe geographically there's bits of Finland involved in the actual geographic area of Scandinavia or something like that. But Finland isn't completely into Scandinavia. Something gets missed out. Like Iceland, I don't think is Scandinavia. You know, it's Nordic though. Nordic covers the lot, you know, Greenland, the Faroe Islands, anywhere where they're wearing, you know, big parkas and all that all the time, and skating on the rivers and things like that. That's nobody do a lot of fishing. and a lot of hunting and stuff like that. Anywhere when it's they have whole days of darkness during the winter and whole days of light during the summer, anywhere where they're all alcoholics, even worse than in Scotland, anywhere like that, that is that's Nordic. And I'm thinking that includes Finland. And we've got, I was looking through the pictures of the dogs, and it was an Icelandic sheepdog. That was one. I thought, oh, that's fine. That's not a Finnish dog, because it's not Simo Valakari. Keeping up here, Simo Valakari. This is how my mind works. I'm actually, I'm for comic effect telling you this, but this is actually how my mind works. Somebody get in touch with me last night going, that's how the mind works for everybody who supports a Fitbit team. That's totally cringeworthy to go on about superstitions for Rangers. It's I'm like, aye, that's the point. You know what I mean? I am a Rangers fan. I'm a football fan. This is how it works for me and my team. I was really superstitious, and I thought, their manager's Finnish. I hope none of these dogs are Finnish. There's an Icelandic sheepdog, that was fine. A Danish pointer, I have written them down, that was fine. There was a Swedish Laphund. They know, so that's fine, Swedish. A Norwegian Lundhund, that was fine. There's a Norwegian Elkhound. A Norwegian Elkhound. I thought that's a good name, but it's Norwegian, so that's fine. I thought, we're good, we're getting away with this. And then right dead in the centre. No, I'm looking at all these dogs as the game's going on. The game's going on. St Johnstone could be in our box. It could be a penalty to them or something. I could just hear the commentator. It's hard to tell with Crocker, mind you, because he just sounds like every game he ever commentates on's a 0-0 draw. And then right dead centre, right at the top of all these dogs, was the Karetsian bear dog. The Karelian bear dog. I knew it. I had to take a gamble because I don't know. I didn't have time to go and look it up. I didn't have time to get onto Wikipedia and all that. A Karelian bear dog, and it's just this kind of vicious-looking Great English sheepdog, or English sheepdog on roids kind of look about it. I thought they'll not even have the decency to say it's Finnish. It's that sneaky. It'll not tell you where it's from. And I've just looked it up after the game. It is Finnish. So I had to take that gamble, but I managed to get away with it. And Rangers won the game, despite me just dicing with superstition. Rangers won the game by 1-0. There's a couple of 2-3 really big bits of news in terms of team selection before the game, because you had Tav coming in for Dujon Sterling. The Dujon Sterling, I've heard it was something to do with nerves. He's getting on somebody's nerves. I don't know if that's why he came off the other night. Didn't get the pre-match pressure. Didn't catch that the day. He came off the other night against Nice. I'd much rather be talking about that game again. And he said something. He mouthed something. And it's like, that's fucking shite. As he comes off the park against as he's being subbed, and I don't know if he knows, or is he saying to the Nice players, maybe there's been a bit of banter between a couple of Nice players, like he's saying, you're fucking shite, by the way, because we're 4-0 up on you just now, or is he talking about the substitution, the fact he's got to come off being fucking shite? But hopefully it was just like I felt a bit of a pull, a bit of a nerve thing. He's been injured for a lot of this season. He has been fully fit, as the manager was eventually telling us, so Dujon Sterling doesn't start. He's just needing a rest. He's not played a lot of first team football this year. He's not been getting a lot of minutes. He's doing well since he come in, but Tav starts. No worries about that for me. Tav starting at McDermott, and we also had the one and only Yanis Hagi coming in at number 10. Yanis Hagi coming in to play number 10 today. He's basically coming in for Diomande, and this is, I don't know if we're going to enter into this thing. I was talking about the preview pod last night. Is Diomande the new Brahim Hemdani? I know it's just an African guy playing for Rangers who's brilliant in Europe, but he can't really get it going domestically. He can't really fit in domestically. If it gets us to another European final, then I'm perfectly fine with that. We need to keep that squad rotating. But it seemed harsh on Dio because he puts himself about and all that. He's the fastest X-ray in the world he is. But this meant 2 changes to the starting lineup from Nice, which meant a third kind of interesting thing, which was the Igaman stays up front. And that's a big call. We knew we had Danilo getting back. Got a half last week, a transformative half almost against Dundee United. You may be expecting him to start up front. Dessers comes on the other night and has a brutal miss. But Hagi not in the European squad, so it means he's plenty fit, plenty fresh. Same thing for Danilo though. He's not in the European squad, and has scored at McDermott before. So has Diomande. But none of the two of them started that game. Instead, Tav, who scored 58 times at McDermott, he gets to get And after 43 seconds, on number 43, the peerless Mr. Nico Raskin, who I still, his performance all night in Nice, it's hard to pick a best player from the performance in the Côte d'Azur, but he was absolutely brilliant. He really was sublime. He goes in 43 seconds, number 43, and he stops the Kimpioka, who's kind of playing nominally up front in a 2 for St Johnstone, but he's wide left really most of the time, and he just runs him down. So he breaks away, furious pace, but Nico Raskin's back there and just like tackles him. And it's like he's getting good at just like hitting players legally, isn't he? Raskin, for a wee guy, he certainly gets wired in. I'm thinking that's fine. We're setting the tone again. This is going to be okay. And I think it did set the tone defensively because we weren't really troubled at all during the game. The manager talking after the game that we only conceded 1 shot on goal. Did that last week against Dundee United, and we dropped 2 points. So it doesn't really say anything, but we did have them pretty much under control, but it was, what are we going to do here? We're wearing the old Nacional Montevideo away kit. Nacional Montevideo's home kit kind of roughly looks a bit like it because it's white, blue, white. I wish we'd properly go for it like Nacional and get the red, white and blue. Do you know the strip, the actual home strip that Rangers have worn that I hated the most because I grew up as we were wearing that kit? I thought the 78 treble winning kit was the best, surprise. And then we moved to the one which I see a lot of Rangers fans, it's retro, it's cool, the red, white and blue collar one that we wore from kind of 78, 79 season we first started wearing it. Stopped 81, 82 would be the last season we wore it. We never won the league in that kit, and I've always kind of, not hated, it's a strong word, but it reminds me of bad times, even though it's the era that I was properly falling in love with Rangers, kind of heartachy that kit. But if we kept that kind of collar and cuffs arrangement on the kit we're wearing today, it'd be perfect. The National kit that they wore, they won the 1980 Intercontinental Cup final against Nottingham Forest in Tokyo. It was in Japan, that final. It's the hardest looking team I've ever seen in my life. If you find the team photo, just 1980 Intercontinental Cup final, Nacional Montevideo against Nottingham Forest, and you just get their team lineup. That's the hardest looking bunch of dudes I've ever seen in my puff. Plus that strip, the pitch. Is it Tokyo or Kyoto? I think it's Tokyo, wasn't it? Tokyo, when they played the Intercontinental Cup final there for all the years, it was always totally rubbish. It was like basically sand. It was 90% sand. Very applicable to St Johnstone as well. We've got the lovely crest. The scroll crest is in. It's the white RFC within the blue shield on the white kit, and get the little red border around it. The shield make you think Scudetto. You know, Scudetto is the Italians have because of the shield that they award to the league winners, but also scudding. Given there was no scuddings getting dished out today. Instead, the little red border around the shield of that badge was more applicable to what Rangers were doing. It was just good enough, just applying enough detail to this game. So about the 11th minute, it was Ted Crocker. Oh my God. Showing my age there. Ian Crocker, esteemed commentator for Sky, says, "This is the way Simo Valakari wants St Johnstone to play. It's the way we want them to play as well." And that's, by that point, I don't know, when did we actually have our first shot on goal? I think it was the 17th minute. 14th minute, something like that. Cerny had a wee shot for the kind of edge of the box, cuts inside, has a wee shot for maybe 18 yards or something like that, just kind of flashes past the post. But you're thinking, we've not actually, that's it so far. That's our main shot on their goal. It felt kind of slow, steady. It was the opposite of the high octane stuff we saw in Nice, and that's fine. You know, maybe St Johnstone a bit more settled in, a bit more organised than Nice were the other night. But if you were wanting, as I keep saying, I was wanting to see us going out there and just the surfeit of emotion, the high energy performance we put in Nice. You want to see all that in the legs, in the players' legs, and you get 9 of the same players starting the game. You want to see still that kind of buzz there, even if we're going to get knackered as the second half goes on. Like, you should be unable to stop yourself. It's muscle memory, performing in that brilliant attacking. For all Nice's problems, some of our attacking football was absolutely phenomenal. We're not making guys all over the park the other night, and I was just, I was hoping to see us do that again, but it never really happened. And the fact that St Johnstone were coming at us, Simo Valakari, their manager, ex-Motherwell player, who was in the stand the night we beat them at Ibrox 2-0 a Sunday night game a few weeks ago, and it's kind of stabilised them, got them a few wins, a few losses as well, but by a single goal. he likes to play a bit of attacking football. He wants to come at Rangers. I'm thinking that's what we should want. That's why we think we're so much better in Europe, because the opposition comes at us, lets us get in behind them. We don't know how to break down kind of low blocks and all that kind of part of teams who just want to sit in their own box. They're coming out, that's fine, but it didn't. It wasn't really happening. Tav and Cerny. Tav seems to love Cerny on a personal level. See when they get substituted the other night, when Tav comes on as a sub in Nice and Cerny's coming off, and I think Cerny was kind of raging. He's got a goal, he wants another one, he's enjoying himself. He's been doing well. He scored 2 goals. We beat St Johnstone at Ibrox, and Tav's kind of shaking hands with him when he's sitting. I don't know what it was he said. There's a wee kind of bit of patter between Tav having a wee joke with him and Cerny, and you've scored again, big man, or something, and Cerny just sour face walks off, and Tav kind of looks after him. Knows he goes like, oh, I mean, Tav's got to concentrate getting on the park and playing for Rangers in Europe, but he's kind of like, oh, Cerny, did you not hear what I say? Are you laughing? You're getting that joke? Oh, no. So that was a bit, but Tav definitely likes Cerny. But we kind of, when they combine together, I have noticed that this season, it's kind of Shostakovich and Nijinsky combining to write the rite of spring to choreograph that and get the music going. There's something really beautiful goes on between Tav and Cerny, and they combined for a wee kind of ball into the box, I think, in about the 17th minute. Nothing came of it. This kind of stuff. Kimpioka's hitting us down the left hand side, and you're worried about that because if Tav and Cerny are up high on the right wing, then that's letting him, Kimpioka, the kind of pace machine, get in behind us. Although we're two sitting, Barron and Raskin, Connor Barron was great today, get in about it. But we've got both ends of the ground. It's a weird thing having both ends of the ground, having both end stands become away stands, especially at a ground like that. It's like a mini Ibrox, as we know, McDermott, a mini original rebuilt Ibrox. The major refurb of Ibrox that took place in the late 70s, early 80s, with the coloured seats and all that, and the corners aren't filled in. There's no club deck at that point. It's a bit like, I don't know what's happening at the new camp just now. They've done a whole lot of work over there, Barcelona, but the mini Estadi that was just next to that, where like Andorra would play home games and stuff. That's a really interesting wee stadium they've got in there, or they had in there. It's like a miniature version of the new camp, and I thought we could be using McDermott that way. The park's every bit as bad as Dumbarton's ground, but it should provide a massive inspiration, because I always feel as if, like, Rangers, particularly the one that really sticks out for me, is when we go to Dingle, when we play Ross County, Victoria Park, and you're shooting towards the jail end, and there's definitely not a lot going on with the Rangers team. And then when we're shooting towards the away end at Dingwall, and the Rangers fans are absolutely packed in there, it looks tremendous. And I didn't like it when I thought it looked great. Even though it was the colours I like least, the green, white and gold. When Celtic get the full allocation at Ibrox as it is now, it was totally square on that goal. The Broomland Road stands, all contained in that one stand. It's really tidy. It's a great backdrop for them. And I thought, when we go to Parkhead, we're tucked away in a kind of corner. They know what they're doing there. We should get the whole of the Lisbon Lions stand, to make it the same thing, but we don't. We're kind of just chucked in a corner. We kind of go around the side, and it's a bad view and what have you. And I thought it's a real advantage. So for us to have both ends behind each goal today, it should be more encouraging to the players. And maybe that's eventually what got us over the line. 20th minute, Butland actually has to come out and head the ball from just outside the box. This is Jack Butland, who I've been given a hard time. He's fronting up at the pressers. He fronted up after the 2 points dropped in the Dundee United last week, and I read that he donated £5,000 to the Deaf Women's England team 2015 to get him to the Deaf Women's World Cup, Football World Cup. So he's a great guy, and I need to lay off him. 23, about 25 minutes. Igaman, he's a kind of turn and shot. The keeper goes down to parry it. And we have this for the 23rd to 25th minute, around about that time. We go a wee 2 minutes of fluid, kind of interchanging football, with interchanging passes. It started to look a bit more like what we've been doing in Nice. It was less stolid. It was like maybe we were getting the cobwebs at our eyes. There wasn't a hangover of overperformance from Nice. It was more just, it had all been tumultuous. It had been too much for us, the emotion of that great win. Like I've been feeling myself, it was just after a season of total sobriety, to have that moment of kind of almost drunk with glory fantastic football was a bit too much for the system to take. Maybe we were just a bit knackered and it was taking us a while to get going again. You thought, here we go. And it was a VAR check for a potential handball to St Johnstone. I thought it actually did look like I'm blue specs, blue tinted specs, but I thought it was a penalty. But that just kind of held things. That was in the background. That was getting held up, and then Hagi pulls up with a back problem. You're worried because he is the safe cracker. He is the scalpel. No, the surgeon, the locksmith. He's not here for long, Hagi. He's not going to be here for much longer. But I'm going to get him. These Philistines keep ignoring all the great nicknames that I give him. Because he unpicks defences with his two. So he pulls up, back pain, back spasm, and it looked like he was going to have to go off. He's getting a bit of treatment. That just seemed to, the very minute we'd got a bit of flow going about us, it was stopped again. Tav kind of sailed into the box again. He kind of slalomed into the box, laid it off to Bajrami, and it's a kind of Bajrami fluffed it point blank range. Proper was catching the soapy suitor disease of jumping under the ball a bit, but it turns out he had a bit of an injury going on as well. So I don't know. The manager's shown a lot of faith in Proper, considering the couple of ricks he has had playing for Rangers, but he seems to be sticking by him. I don't know if it was this, whatever it was. I'm assuming he was injured, maybe get taken off at half-time because he did keep getting caught under the ball. I think it happened twice or something. Nice wee corner routine between Tav and Cerny, 36 minutes, good ball into the box, nothing comes for it except a save, which at least shows some sort of intent. It was a real kind of, such a slow burn kind of win, this one. It was, every time you're about to give up on Rangers, they did just enough to think, they're going the right direction, and every time you thought, right, we're going to get a bit of momentum, well, the ball was gone in the wrong direction. It was going towards our goal again. St Johnstone were really threatening, but we just couldn't seem to get going. Our away problem, this whole thing but we have got over today, of not scoring, still not scoring enough goals away from home. Ex-St Johnstone player Ali McCoy's rubbing that in my face the other night, talking about the fact that St Johnstone we'd scored more goals in the first half against Nice in the Europa League, against a Ligue 1 side, a side fifth in Ligue 1, one of the richest leagues in the world. We scored more goals against them in the first half than we'd managed on the road all season in Scotland. And I think it can be slightly overstated if you take the games on an individual basis. Going to Tynecastle first day of the season, Hearts finished third last season, we draw 0-0 there. That's not good enough. Rangers got a great record against Hearts, but it's excusable as a one-off. Aberdeen at Pittodrie, even when Aberdeen are relegation fodder, we can struggle at Pittodrie because it's the only time they put any real effort into a game. So we go there in a season where Aberdeen are performing out their skin. Freakishly good start to the season for the old dandy dons, or whatever they call themselves. That's okay. We can expect to lose it. It's no good. It shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen on a regular basis. But as a one-off, that's fine. Parkhead, well, they're the champions and more money than us. Blah blah blah. Being in the top flight longer than us. So it's no good to lose 3-0 there. But it's kind of excusable. We beat Dundee United at Tannadice, Kilmarnock at Rugby Park again. We should be winning down there more often, but even Celtic struggled in there. They lost there twice last season. It's no like Rangers teams under all sorts of managers since we come back, even since before we went down into the lower leagues. Alan McCoy's lost there in his first full season as manager in his own right. Lost down at Rugby Park when it was still grass. A lot of Rangers teams have struggled at Rugby Park, so that's fine. But today, McDermott, you've got the fact Celtic won 6-0 there, albeit against Craig Levein, not as the interim manager, when Celtic won 6-0 at McDermott. Celtic was scoring 5 goals yesterday, and I'm all for Rangers being, the Milan of 93, 94. We're just doing things minimalist style. Doesn't matter how many goals you score, it's about points on the board kind of thing. But that's definitely in your mind, and you know that albeit Rangers have slipped up before at McDermott, when we've slipped up at McDermott before, it's been a disaster. This isn't a place where we should be slipping up. St Johnstone rarely finishing in the top half of the table, sometimes not even in the top table in Scotland. So it's when we get to kind of half time, it's a clean sheet, but for St Johnstone as well as ourselves, still no more than 2 goals on the road in Scotland this season. It's a real worry. Just kind of before half time, the Jefte being released by Bajrami, but down the left hand side. It's a nice wee combo down the left hand side between Jefte and Bajrami generally. But Rami fires the ball straight into the box, onto the penalty spot, but there's nobody there, and I'm never quite sure. I think Neil McCann in co-coms was slagging Igaman for not being there, for not being in the box for that. But I'm kind of stuck between whether that's the problem or Hefty's just not accurate enough when he's hitting the ball into the box on the move. I'm not really sure about that, but it was just summing up how things weren't really going as well as they should. Anyway, my name, folks, is Alec Anderson. And every dream home a heartache, and every step I take takes me further from heaven. Is there a heaven? I'd like to think so. Standards of living, they're rising daily. But home, oh sweet home, it's only a saying. There's a very famous Roxy Music song, you'll not recognise it from that in any way, shape or ever, called In Every Dream Home a Heartache. I know the album behind me is a greatest hits album, okay? I know it's a compilation album. I know that's embarrassing. Not every single bit of vinyl I've got is, Doolittle by the Pixies or anything like that. It's no, state of the art stuff and that. And don't be a snob about it. You know that sometimes we don't really know a lot about a group, or we get it passed on to as a greatest hits thing from an encore or something like that. A big cousin or someone hands it down, and that's how you get into that. Well, that's the album that I get into Roxy Music via. And one song it doesn't have on it, that greatest hits album there, is In Every Dream Home a Heartache. And Every Dream Home a Heartache, a phenomenal Roxy Music song. And I want you to get into YouTube. If you don't know it, I want you to get into YouTube. Not YouTube Music, not Spotify. Go into YouTube because you need to see the video. Put in Roxy Music and Every Dream Home a Heartache, Ogre Whistle Test. And it's over 50 years old. This, I built it myself. It's over 50 years old, but really still dead trendy and stuff. It's brilliant. It's a fantastic song. It's a phenomenal song, and that's how I always imagine it. That's how I think. The thing about that song is it's kind of all the verses come at once, and then there's a kind of caesura, a moment it stops. And when you reveal, I don't want to ruin the plot for you if you haven't heard this song before, but there's a big reveal right in the middle, and it just really briefly, there's silence. Really briefly, the singing stops, and then it just blasts into relentless chorus right all the way through to the heartache, dream home, heartache. And if you go to watch this video, you've got the bass guitar. Just it's very standing here, and it's kind of a Sprechgesang. It's spoken singing, really. He's barely singing at all. He's from Bellpush to Fawcett. It's just standing there. He's singing. It seems like, and the bass guitar's going. It's vibrating. Eno's on the keyboards. He's standing, and he's on his big whatever it is. It's another kind of forerunner of the height of electric synthesizer or whatever it is. It just looks like a fridge with a wash machine stuck in it. There's lots of knobs on the outside, and he's twisting the knobs and twiddling the knobs, but he's got this mad kind of crow's outfit on. There's lots of bird feathers on it and what have you, and he's trying to compensate for the fact that he's bald and early, but he's twiddling the knob, and you can see he's getting ready to go, but he just can't quite go yet. He's still quite still. It's still this bit. It's very kind of staccato, very monotone. A bit like my pods. And Ferry's just all these lyrics describing what's happening behind the surface of, the kind of living in posh houses and what have you. And you've got Andy Mackay, the guy who plays the saxophone. I think he's on the keyboards, and he's just kind of basically resting his fingers on the keyboards. There's little vibrations coming off the keyboards. There's little kind of vibrations coming off all the instruments, but no more than that, really. And then Phil Manzanera, he's just on guitar. For him, he is just holding himself back. Phil Manzanera, who you shouldn't confuse with Ray Manzarek. Ray Manzarek, like I did when I went to that. He's no longer with us, of course, Ray Manzarek of the Doors, but when I went to that night of his at the concert hall in Glasgow, and he's trying to do all the Riders in the Storm and stuff like that, and I'm shouting, "It was Avalon! Avalon!" No, it's different guy. Dance away. Love is a drug. He's love is a drug. Riders, it's a different guy altogether. He's on the guitar. And he's just starting to kind of wangle on that thing a wee bit, but it's simmering. It's simmering just below the boil. And then when Ferry just goes, "You blew my mind." Briefest stop. and then they explode. They explode into action, and it's like they're all having basically an orgasm. It's a musical orgasm at the same time, and Ferry's just wailing. It goes. It's basically all verse, all spoken, stops for a nanosecond, and then it's wailing, all musical explosion, total wailing of the chorus constantly. It's a dream home heartache, and it's away from home heartache. It's been for Rangers this season, and you always imagine that we'll go out and we'll win 4 or 5-0 in a game like today, and that'll be it. That'll break the back of this poor away form we've had, and that's not how it happens. That's no. We're still trying to get to the first bit. We still try to get to the bit where we're all on our instruments, ready to go. We know the tune, but it's simmering. We're having to hold ourselves back. We're having to keep it below the boil while we get everything in place. It's just simmering below the boil. We're still trying to get to that point. It's no. This is, you remember under Steven Gerrard. This is another rebuild. This is another rebuild. It means we go back to go forwards. Even Mark Warburton, when he arrived, there's a brief explosion. It's this is fine. That everything we went through with Ali McCoy snap was just to get us up to the point where we're kind of simmering below the boil, and then explosion with Warburton. But that was the end of the lower league years. We ended Damien explosion that quickly petered out even towards the end of that season. Didn't give us the best start in the top flight. So you need to get it right the way Gerrard did it. Gerrard, even the way he would have these narrow wins, away goals wins and what have you, and doing really well in the qualifying rounds of Europe. That's a kind of micro version of it, a microcosm of what he did long term. And then we get into the group stage and it's bang, with a goal down within seconds to Villarreal. But we come back and it's 2 each. It's a ding dong game. It's oh my god, we're playing European group football again. This is phenomenal. And you get a great home game. We're up in Vienna, total explosion of emotion. This is it, we're back. But that was just, we'd been through the qualifiers, we're just simmering under the boil, just getting ourselves right, getting ourselves sorted, learning the ways of Steven Gerrard and Michael Beale, and then bang, it happens. We arrived in the group stage. But no, that kind of burns out a bit early. We don't qualify through the group stages. But in terms of the league, he's making sure we can beat Celtic again. Beating Celtic, we lose at Parkhead first game. Second Old Firm game for Gerrard, we beat them at Ibrox, and it's like, we've got that monkey off our back. And it's got the following season, he gets us to winning at Parkhead again. And that's fine. And it's the next season before we connect. We're still losing at home to Hamilton Accies and getting beat off a Hearts team that's in relegation, but that gets relegated. So you've got to get to that, but you're just getting to the point where we're simmering, and it's 2020-2021 season where we explode. We're pitting 4 past Celtic at Ibrox. We're pitting 4 past Aberdeen twice at Ibrox. We're beating Celtic home and away. Beating them in the Scottish Cup. We're beating them pounding teams. Was it 8 we pit past Hamilton Accies that season? That's the explosion. That's a dream home heartache. Ding, 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 ding. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. And that's what I had to learn today. So until it's just, if you get to the boil too quickly, and that's what happened when the manager came in last season. He knows what he's doing as far as I'm concerned. Clermont, the European results speak to that. But he comes in last season, takes over, and straight away it's 4-0 against Hibs, 5-0 against Dundee. We get back to the top of the league, kind of March, February into March. But Michael Beale didn't have enough water on the kettle. He didn't have enough water on the kettle, so the element burnt out quickly, and we just plummet from March through April into May, and the manager is now just kind of rebuilding the kettle, basically getting us knowing how to get ourselves back to the boil, getting ourselves back to the point where we're simmering, we're no ready to explode yet. So this is the best that's going to happen. At half time, we get the big changes today. Balogun comes on for Proper, so I don't know if it was just Proper wasn't playing well enough or he's injured, and Yilmaz comes on for Bajrami. Now, I was talking about this in the preview pod. Losing Bajrami was no how I expected this week in a triumvirate, this wee interesting trio that's going on. Down the left-hand side, you've got Yilmaz obviously as a left-back, but he played it outside left the other night when he came on against Lyon. It's Nice, coming against Nice. And Jefte, can play outside left, and he get moved to left-back to cover for Yilmaz's injury earlier in the season. The game where they both went off against Dynamo Kiev at Hampden, one injured, one sent-off. And I'm always thinking that Bajrami's only playing on the left-hand side because we've got that shortage there. So eventually when we get Jefte and Yilmaz on the park at the same time, the one thing that will do is it will let Bajrami move in. But Bajrami comes off. He gets subbed off. And as I was saying yesterday's preview pod, he's probably knackered because he's not had a break really since he moved. Big move. It's always tiring mentally, emotionally. I think just making a big move from Serie A to the SPFL. And now he's playing every game. he's playing out of position as well. He's not a fast player, so being asked to play wide left, it will be taking its toll on him. So he's a guy to go off at half time. And we end up, Yilmaz is playing outside left, and Jefte seems to have a brilliant engine on him. His element's never burning out. He's staying at left back, then a lot overlapping, underlapping, looks quite interesting. But by the 54th minute, we still haven't got through. We still haven't scored the goal. And you're thinking the thing that knew I was going to end up thinking today. It gets the 54th minute on Sunday against St Johnstone at McDiarmid Park, and we've scored 4 less goals than we scored against Nice in France in a European group stage, and that's exactly what it was. By this point, we'd scored 4 goals on Thursday night, and here we are playing St Johnstone at McDiarmid, and it's still 0-0. Yilmaz wins a free kick at the edge of the box. We have a nice wee cut inside, so he knows what he's doing. The manager knows what he's doing, putting Yilmaz up there. Tav brings out a save for the keeper, and Tav's been playing pretty tidy. He's been doing okay. He's obviously not the Tav of old, able to slalom up and down the wings all day, and even the free kicks, he scored a few from that distance at McDiarmid, never mind other places he scored them, Tav, but he was just kind of bringing out I think Croker was saying it was a save for the cameras, or Neil McCann was saying that, and it was right. The goalie was making a big deal of parrying it. It's kind of fairly harmless free kick, but it was something on target. 58th minute, the manager's getting still proactive, really proactive. Danilo comes on for Jefte. And again, I thought it was going to be Igaman who would go off at that point in time. Danilo, striker for a striker, keeping the 4-2-3-1 formation. But no, Danilo comes on, and Danilo and Igaman end up playing a kind of, it's a vertical two up front. They're kind of interchanging up and down, like one behind each other. Danilo coming from behind, really. And this is because Yilmaz goes to left back, and Hagi, who has zero pace, goes to wide left. And that lets Danilo sit in the 10, but probably not really playing like a 10, more like a striker. And we don't score goals. We don't score goals domestically. This is a problem. We scored 4 against Stolid Bucharest. We scored 4 against Nice the other night. We scored 2 against the champions of Sweden and Malmo as well. But we can't seem to score goals in Scotland, and the manager seems to be actively trying to do so. He's trying everything possible, and if we get more players back, more players come back for injury, more players getting fitter, it will get easier, you'd imagine. He's certainly tried everything today, but at this point you notice we've got St Johnstone boxed in. They're totally trapped in their own half, and for a lot of that, they're back 20 yards out is the furthest they can get. It's a slow but definite change, a kind of tone and character to the game. We've stepped it up a gear from the first half, and because we're frustrated about not getting a goal, we need an away win in Scotland so badly, you're kind of ignoring the fact that we're getting more and more pressure, and it is slowly but surely working. 63rd minute, it's a goal. It is a goal. Conor Barron launches a ball to the back post. He was really good, Conor Barron. I thought the day Nico Raskin was the class, Conor Barron was the energy, and Yanis Hagi was the difference. Conor Barron's ball at the back post. The St Johnstone defender, centre half, gets up and heads it back, kind of clear it properly, and it goes to the back of the box, virtually on the byline. And it's the kind of goal you've been saying for ages. This, when you're on a bad run of some sort, you'll just take ending it in any way possible. We'll have an own goal that's sclaffed in for 2 yards out. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly how we ended this run of poor results on the road. We've not really ended it. We've stopped it getting any worse, I would suppose. We've already had a win away from home, also in Tayside domestically, but this was another one. It was really important that we did this, and we got this one over the line, and it's Jason Holt who gets it over the line. But the touch from Hagi, and this is what I think, it's not very camera friendly. The touch from Hagi, who basically just launches it back. The defender clears it poorly, can't get any purchase on it. It goes to the back, and Yanis Hagi takes it first time, and just with his side of his foot, a kind of half volley, launches it up over the goalkeeper towards it. But he's not trying to put it in, he's just trying to get it back in the danger zone, and it just completely confounds everybody, and it leaves Jason Holt under the ball, facing his own goal, 2 yards out. James Tavernier breathing down his neck. Tav's taking the applause and that after the ball gets bundled over the line, and Jason Holt's trying to tell the referee that Tav's fouled him, and Tav's like, "I haven't, Jason, no, old teammate." And the Rangers supporters, we shouldn't have been singing Jason Holt's name after that. No, I mean, we meant it with gratitude, and we do love Jason Holt. We want him to feel better, but it comes across like that's a Masonic conspiracy in full flow. Thanks, Jason. Ex-Ranger Jason Holt did brilliant for us when we that were in the lower leagues under Warburton, getting us back up there. Him and Andy Halliday, phenomenal. Andy Halliday scored against us this season, so that's there's no conspiracy there. But it was captain on captain action, practically on the line, and Jason Holt ends up putting the ball over the line. It's kind of cruel, but Giannis. The goal was made by Giannis, not so much a heat-seeking missile, because that usually applies to guys who take long-range free kicks and put them straight in the back of the net. He doesn't really do that, as opposed to the guidance system of a heat-seeking missile, Hagi. That's a nickname. That's my latest. No, it's not going to happen. So that's our third domestic away goal of the season. It's December the 1st. I was talking about the relief of Mafficking in last Saturday's post-match reaction podcast. That was equivalent today. That was a massive relief for us to get that over the line. It's a goal befitting of this run that we're on, and the game itself. It's awful. It's more like kind of popping a persistent pluck. You just got to apply that pressure slowly, surely, and it's not a nice process. And it goes, and it's temporarily pretty ugly. An own goal and over it goes. But you just get the clearasil on that, and you'll quickly get back to your usual gorgeous complexion of Rangers on the road. I say we're hoping the dam would burst, but it's just, there was zero sign of that happening. Zero sign of us banging in 2 or 3 goals afterwards. But there was also zero sign of us in Johnstone response. We just kept playing the same game. 75 minutes, Diomande comes on for Igaman. This is Mohamed Baba Irvin Diomande, according to Wikipedia. Is that wiki vandalism? Irvin as in the town in North Ayrshire, Irvin. Is that the Irvin, the Buttery Hill loyal, claiming Diamande's one as their own because he's so good? But the way things have been going at Ibrox this season, it could also be co-winning Rangers, or not co-winning Rangers, but Rangers fans for co-winning, which is known to have a few Rangers fans in it. A great place. I love co-winning. Drank Pernod many a time in co-winning. Mother Lodge. It's maybe the worst insult they can think of giving Diomande, if they absolutely hate him, is to compare him to Irvine, which is the source of all evil as far as you're concerned. So I don't know, it's hard, but Irvine, that's good one. Mohamed Baba Irvine Diomande. So that's what it says on Wikipedia anyway. So please somebody confirm to me if that's true or not. But he comes on for Igaman, which lets Danilo go solo up front, and it keeps Hagi out on the left-hand side. But I think his movement and his determination as well, his work rate, Diomande, is the last thing St Johnstone want at that point in time. So it's good at keeping them boxed in, even though we've failed to follow up with another goal or any real proper attempts on goal. I should have been worried about our inability to increase the lead, but just the way the game was going, it doesn't mean St Johnstone, all they've got to do is lob one high ball up to the back in our ever-changing defence. There's already been 2 changes to the defence in game today. Just need somebody to get trapped under the ball or whatever, and we just have one of those car crash moments, and that's it. They've equalised. We don't really look at scoring a lot of goals, so we've dropped more points. It's a complete disaster with Aberdeen playing later on. And they're playing Celtic on Wednesday night, so it's a failure to catch anybody, really. We're going backwards and think this could be terrible. I just couldn't see it happening, but I think it might actually have been, even I've got a limit to pessimism. I couldn't, just wasn't prepared to get negative until I remembered the calendar being stuck on the month of November. I got through there sharpish, and that was a bit of a trauma as well. I think it all came out in that incident. Cerny comes off in the 88th minute towards the end anyway, and on comes Kieran Dowell, the water diviner, the Dowell, and he immediately plays Danilo through with one of the balls he was playing through to him last week against United that was just off. It's easier just to, maybe it's because Dowell's not getting the amount of first team football, but he's just be rolling it into his stride, into Danilo's stride. He's so close to him. He's making a good run, Kieran Dowell. He's going to score the win in the League Cup final. But it's just to the side. It should be a better ball, and Danilo compensates by fouling the guy in front of him. The referee doesn't give the foul, but then Danilo can't even put it in the back of the net anyway. It's just, we're only going to get another goal. There's a run and a brilliant cutback from Tav, but Hagi gets onto it, but he doesn't do forward. He pulls the ball to the side of the defender, practically on the penalty spot. But Tav just doesn't do running, doesn't do sprints forward. So even 2 yards is too much for him. So he just dives and he gets booked, and he laughs because he knows he should have gotten booked for trying to win a penalty. 5 minutes of injury time goes up. I did start worrying a bit then. Diomande gets ragdolled. potentially assaulted in the deck. The St Johnstone defenders are getting ratty, lashing out at him, and that. I'm thinking that's fine. They're trying to land on him as if they've been felled, and they're trying to land on him and probably snap him into a million pieces because he's so tiny. And I thought this isn't good, but at least it shows that they're losing the rag. And remember, I took a note of this: 92 minutes and 33 seconds. We start overtly thinking that we can just play keep ball. We can just move the ball about. We've not been getting really much penetration into the St Johnstone box for this game, but we've always been outside the St Johnstone box. So let's just start playing the ball about there. Just wind down. There's another minute and a half to go. We'll just run down that clock. And straight away, we end up having to put it back to the goalkeeper with St Johnstone chasing us down. You can't do that. You can't. You've got to keep trying the thing that you're ultimately trying to do if you're on a rebuild. If you just know that clever just now, Rangers. We need to keep the momentum of hitting their box and failing to do anything with it, but winning it straight back because St Johnstone are launching it sometimes as a clearance. But if we start playing the ball back, start trying to play cute football, it wasn't working. Just for that brief, I might be over analysing that. Like a 6-0 win would have been freakish. It would have been too much. It'd be too we need something that's going to be absorbed into the collective psyche. I was talking about the apps, the preview pod for the Nice game, all these adverts on the telly for psychiatric or some sort of kind of advisor. What's the word? A therapist app. And it always shows that Bupa advert, the young fella, I was talking about that, how he's totally miserable then within 3 seconds. He's just cheery and chatting away as if sorting out your problems is a total upward curve towards a permanent smile, and everything's just, you're great, and you just need to know that you're great. Sometimes you got to go and face up to your demons, face up to some really ugly stuff. And Rangers, I think Rangers didn't just beat St Johnstone today. I think Rangers beat Rangers. I think bad Rangers lost to good Rangers today. We faced up to our inner demons in this game in a way that's actually going to lend itself to long-term improvement. We'll learn more lessons. We kept going when we showed signs of, again, failing to score goals away from home, and it was great. We got the job done, and you can't now say we've only won one game away from home in Scotland. It's 2. I know that's only 1 goal in each of our last 3 domestic away games. That's not very good, but it's 2 points dropped in those 3 games. Aberdeen have scored 5 goals in their last 3 domestic away games and have only won 2 points. And I know gaining on Aberdeen should not be the main goal of our season, but we need to do it because I think even in a rebuild season for Rangers, the amount of money we have spent, as people are pointing out, we've still got so much more money than everybody else outside Celtic. Finishing second can be acceptable in terms of a sacrifice you're willing to make to get to a stage where we're winning and retaining league titles. Is let one go, but to finish third is still kind of inexcusable, and that would be a real worry. So it's good that they ended up drawing at Tynecastle today, because I didn't know if Aberdeen would look at that result and just think to themselves, well, they bastards have won, but they've only won 1-0, so it's not. Maybe we need to send a signal if we won 5-0 to be, they're coming for us now, they're properly coming for us. That put the skids under them. I don't think that's how they would really think anyway. They've been slipping up on their own, Aberdeen. Even when we were slipping up last week, they were doing the same and worse. St Mirren. Like yesterday, I was stuck in traffic. It's like you're stuck in traffic. I don't want to get all kind of ageist or sexist about it, especially when you're the state and age that I am. But I was just getting out to get my, just go to Morrison's to get my crisps and all that for the weekend, and I was sitting there, stuck behind a car, and I thought, at the lights, and I just thought to myself, do you know when you're driving down like a single lane road or a bendy road, you maybe go on a scenic route somewhere in the car, and even if, like me, maybe it's just a bloke thing that you can't get rid of you can think as politically correctly as you want, as I try to do, but there just comes moments when you're like, I can drive a bit faster than this, and this, the 98-year-old vicar's daughter who's driving this wee tiny car in front of me at 50 miles an hour is killing me. I need to, it's just no fit. But once you eventually get to a set of traffic lights that lets you think, the road's going to get bigger, that's fine, they'll always just manage to get through. I think it's because they're driving slowly anyway. Their reactions are slow, and it's like, that actually turned to amber there just as I drove, and they're away. So you're up the backside of this peer wee woman who can't drive past 50 miles an hour. But when it gets to the lights, she's away, and you're left at the lights. She's totally beat it. And I feel as if that's what it's like this season with Aberdeen and Rangers. They shouldn't be anywhere. They shouldn't be allowed to be driving in front of us, and hopefully we will eventually catch them when we get onto the wide open road, but red light for Aberdeen. That's what it's felt like this season. But the car that was sitting in front of me at the lights, it was driving perfectly. Everybody drives better than me, but I've noticed in a few cars, maybe it's the same car I just keep seeing. It's got this beautiful little sticker on the back, which just looks like a line. It just looks like a drawn line, and it's Arran. It's a plan of the map of Arran. It's the shape of the Isle of Arran, which I stayed in. Coming for a Drossen. That's what a Drossen is known for. You get the ferry to Arran, and I'm looking at it, and it's looking like it actually looks like the silhouette of a Neanderthal man, like with a big forehead, in the south of the island. It's got the little, the Lumlash Bay. It's got the little, there's something coming out of it. It looks like it's spitting out a munchie, one of the wee chocolates you used to get. It was chocolate, almost like in a pyramid shape, and it was the fondant inside of it. My mum used to get them in the pictures. I researched, don't do. But it's got this. And that's a map of Arran. I stayed in a Drossen. I'm comfy a Drossen. I love Arran. And the wee square. I thought it was even got the wee bit for the Holy Isle. The Holy Isle was the isle, just off Arran. It's owned by the Dalai Lama, and it reminded me of being. You can switch off me. There's no more Ranger stuff. This is just going to be, but it is really Ranger stuff, So it reminded me of my late teens, early 20s probably, and I'm in the Boozer, the Stanley Hotel in Saltcoats, which is just over the Burn, just over the Stanley Burn, which, if you're in the Stanley Hotel, that's where I was the day Rangers won the league in 86-87 against Aberdeen. First time in 9 years, my mates and I, 17-year-old, having champagne. I've told you that story, how I had a ticket for that game. I didn't realise I had a ticket for that game. It's a literal Masonic conspiracy. I'll tell you that one another time, if I haven't told you it 15 times already. But the Stanley Hotel, it's me and Big Phil, who was a near United fan, Phil. And that's the irony. His name is Big Phil. Big Philip, and we're having he'd hollow. I can handle my pints, but nobody ever saw Phil drunk because he had hollow legs. By the time you were drunk, he was drunk. You were absolutely wrecked. But it was a Friday night, and we're in the Stanley Hotel, and we're having a few beers. And I remember looking up the pictures up on the wall. There's framed pictures, old pictures of Arran. Now, the Stanley Hotel is the bar is like kind of fully glazed on one side, or it was. It's away now, so I think it's been knocked in. But it's to offer views of that. It goes right across the bay in Ardrossan, South Beach in Ardrossan. You can see right over to Arran, and it was a great glorious views, But it was night time, and we were getting pleasantly pissed. And there's these beautiful framed photographs on the wall of Arran and Saltcoats Harbour and stuff. And I'm going off, and Phil, and he's going, Arran, brilliant, fantastic, and lovely, and we just go, but do you want to go? We should just go. Just get on the ferry in the morning, and we'll get some pints in Arran for the day. Because none of the two of us had been to Arran since we were kids. So and that way you keep drinking, and there's something about your mind going, I've done this before, where I've been really enthusiastic for something on a Friday night, and then come the Saturday, I've wondered why I did it. It could be the drink, but no, I feel great and all that. And it's still, I was like late teens, I think. I'm still staying with Mum and Dad. And I wasn't, phone goes, you had to actually phone folk in the days. You couldn't text and like that. The phone goes, my dad's like, it's Phil on the phone for you. 9 o'clock in the morning. He's like, I'm still up for this Arran thing. You want to do it? And I'm like, so am I. I'm up for it as well. So we meet up in the morning down at the ferry terminus in Ardrossan, get ourselves on the ferry to Arran. And it was only when we were on, the ferry pulls out into the Firth of Clyde that we realised what it was, why we were both so kind of full of energy and enthusiastic. The two of us were still pissed. And when the boat's bobbing up and down the bay, I was like, oh, Jesus, this is not good, man. We're just going to chuck it. And we do that thing, you have to make that decision. We can stand here and chuck up, or we can go down into the bar and get ourselves a pint and just fight our way through this. So we went and got ourselves a few pints and we fought our way through it. But it had been back, and I thought, is this a good idea? My only memory of Arran at that point in time had been, my dad would go over and work there all the time. He's in at Drossen, so it was easy. His work would send him out to Arran every now and then. So we all knew about the ferry. But I remembered my mum, my dad, and my uncle Nevin and my dad's mate Michael. They took me over when I was a kid, and they must have been as young then as I was doing that trip with Phil. And at some point they were all half pissed, and we'd got sausages for the wee shop. Got sausages at the wee shop, and they made a wee fire up on the beach at Arran in Brodick. And it's only years later when I went back as an adult I realised the wee beach is right behind the shop. But that's my love of kind of barbecue food. Basically, they take like sand and sausages that are overburnt. Just a beautiful, beautiful childhood memory. And the water, it's still the same in that bit in Brodick. The water is just so clear. It's so the sand's so sandy. It's so beautiful, and it really stayed with me forever. But at one point, they'd all been kind of half pissed, and they'd got in a wee boat, Jimmy Johnson for Largs type boat, just across the other side, the Firth of Clyde, and they'd been out for a wee paddle, and I'm sitting in the boat in it. But in my head, as I was getting older, I used to remember that. I had it in my mind, kind of confused that that's actually how we'd go to Arran for a drussing. We'd go in one of the, with the oars, and just went right the way over the Firth of Clyde. Not how it happened, but that was one of the memories I had. So I couldn't wait to go back and see what it's like. And I could think it was sausages and this, just the wee shop in Brodick. And Phil was like, "Oh, walk round to Lumlash. You can walk out along the main road to go to Lumlash." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a bit much, man. I've had a few beers and that now, and I just want to park myself in the pub and look at a nice view." No, we're going to go for. So we walked up along this. And I'm thinking, how long is this going to be? It's like a couple of miles, So walking along the road, you have to go out the way of traffic and stuff, have you? And it goes round a bend. If you've been to Arran at all, we walk from Brodick to Lumlash. I would thoroughly recommend it. I think there's ways you can cycle and all that as well, but it's not for me. And we walked round the road, and there it was, and the cloud is low, and it's sitting round the top of the whole. It just sits there in the bay. It's like something of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's utterly magical, and that's the first time. For my 40th, for example, my wife and her pal went over to Brodick and got a picture. A painting by a local artist of the Holy Isle, because she just knew I wouldn't stop talking about this through my whole life. Totally boring as anything. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever had. It's still proudly hung in the house, unlike myself. And it's a magical thing. It's like the Dalai Lama ends up buying it as a retreat. Ben Shepherd does. Is it Ben Shepherd? Ben Fogel does a thing. It's like a pseudo-religious thing. He's no religious, but he likes sacred islands. As soon as I saw he was doing this programme, I would record it. It's on a Sunday morning, so I wouldn't be up till lunchtime usually. But eventually, yeah, he did go to Arran, and he went to the Holy Isle, and he's talking to the people on the retreat and what have you. And I needed to see this, what it was like, because I remember sitting at that boozer, famous Pierhead Tavern in Lumlash, and sitting there, and it was a beautiful summer's day. That's obviously there was no football, and that's why me and Phil were getting drunk and going to Arran, and just sitting like, I'm going to write a book about this. I'm going to write a novel about occults from the Holy Isle. It's just absolutely magical, sitting there drinking. And the whole thing is, if Big Phil hadn't pushed me through, if he hadn't pushed it on, and told me, it didn't seem as magical as I thought it was going to be, as I felt it was going to be the night before. Like this, we thought this away win, when we eventually get another away win on the road, and we're going to break the back of this bad domestic away form. It's a really tortured analogy, not even a metaphor so much. But Big Phil says, "No, we're going to do it. We're going to push on." You thought you were going to puke up, have you? And that was an ugly win today. It really was an ugly win. But eventually you'll get over the hump, you'll get around the bend, and it'll all be sat out in front of you, and it'll be totally magical. And Rangers are now a team who win on the road in Scotland as well as on the road in Europe. And Ayrshire calls again, memories of Ayrshire, and Ayrshire's coming to visit us on Wednesday night with Killie coming to Ibrox. That's going to be a hard one, but hopefully we've got a bit of metal about us, a bit of steel, and maybe we can get ourselves to a stage where not score 2 goals in a domestic game. The last time we did that was against Motherwell in the League Cup final, because we had to. This could just be a beautifully minimalist season for Rangers, so we just do what we've got to do, deal small and feed off. That's more than enough from me, folks. I'm dealing far too much podcast patter to you. I'll talk to you on Tuesday, hopefully a wee preview of the game on Kilmarnock. But enjoy your night, knowing Rangers are gaining on Aberdeen at least, and things are starting to look a bit more rosy in the garden. And have a nice couple of days, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday. Cheers, guys.